Hello, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Last week was my birthday, which means this week we have a book haul. So last week I turned 27, which is a lot to digest, but regardless, I'm so excited about the book haul that I got. I got an Amazon gift card from my parents and I just kind of went crazy. I also bought some annotation supplies and some dog toys, but those will not be included in the haul. I just wanted to show you the 12 books that I ended up getting for my birthday. I think this is all. I had already packed them out on my shelf, so I'm hoping that I didn't miss any. But regardless, let's jump right in. The first book that we have is Ruthless Falls by Rebecca Ross. I read Divine Rivals last year. I'm thinking in September or maybe October, and I loved it so much. I think I gave it a 5 star, but maybe it's closer to a 4.75. I don't feel like I've thought about it that much since then, but I don't know. I really enjoyed it while I was reading it, and I thought that the writing was beautiful and the romance between them was so sweet, and I really loved both of our main male characters. Why did I say main male characters? Both of our main characters. But I never finished it because I didn't get my hands on this one, and it honestly really wasn't top of mind either. Divine Rivals could have been a standalone to me, but I do want to finish it so that I can read the next book that I got, which is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross, which is the prequel to Divine Rivals. This cover is actually one of the most stunning things I've ever seen in my entire life. Everything about it is perfection. Whoever does her art deserves a raise. This is just so beautiful. I'm really excited to read this one. I know that this one involves more of a story related to the gods, which is what I feel like I was kind of missing in Divine Rivals. I wish we would have gotten more of that. I love a romance that kind of involves immortality in some way. So yeah, I really, really am excited to read this one. I didn't even realize, but I ended up getting quite a bit of chunky books here. Wild Reverence was pretty chunky. And so is this next one, The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. This one I don't know that much about. Let me read actually the back. I tend to like to go into books blind, but I think for the purpose of a book haul, I want to give at least a little bit of a summary. So it says, "Let us fly now to the empire of Oran, where after 24 years of peace, the reign of Brisson the Brusque has come to an end. In the dizzying heat of midsummer, seven exceptional warriors, thinkers, and strategists compete to replace him. When one of them is murdered, it falls to Nemo Kra, the emperor's brilliant, idiosyncratic high scholar, to find the killer and fight for the throne." Yeah, something about it just sounds really interesting to me. I know this is one of Lexi from Newly Nova's favorites of last year. She could not stop raving about it. So I'm really excited to see what the hype is about this one. And I don't know actually if yeah, it's a trilogy, but the other one isn't out yet. So I feel like it'll be so fun to kind of get on top of the hype. I'm usually very late to new releases. So I kind of just bit the bullet and bought this one. The next one is The X Files by Jessica Joyce. I am really excited about this. I've heard literally nothing but really, really good things. And I think the first person that I ever heard talk about this was Sarah Caroli a couple years ago. And I just love second chance romance. That is my favorite trope if I had to choose one. So I know this one is second chance and it has to do with a wedding. And then Italy, which I think has to be three of my favorite things of all time in a romance. So I'm really, really looking forward to this. I think this one is going to be a 5 star. Okay, next we have Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. And do I know what this is about? I don't think so. I just know that. Um, Katie's reading. Loves this. I think this is one of her all-time favorite books, and I did read the summary before I bought it. I just can't remember. So it says, "The dream chooses the dreamer." Laszlo Strange, war orphan and junior librarian, has been obsessed with the mythic lost city of Weep for as long as he can remember, but it would take someone bolder than he to cross half the world in search of it. Then a stunning opportunity presents itself in the person of a hero called the God Slayer and a band of legendary warriors, and he has to seize his chance or lose his dream forever. That's all I'll read. I do remember reading this and feeling very interested. I feel like my interest was definitely piqued when I read that. I also, funny story, I bought the Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, thinking that it was this, and I'm not sure where that confusion came from, but I now have both of them on my shelf. And I think that she also really likes the Starless Sea, but I could be wrong. But I definitely, this is the one that I thought that I was buying. So I am so excited for this next one. This is Seeing Other People by Austin Sigmund Burke and Emily Woverly, who are like a married author duo. I have loved everything that I've read by them so far. I've only read two, but I read The Roughest Draft and Do I Know You. Do I Know You is one of my absolute favorite rom coms of all time. 6 stars. I absolutely love that book so much. And The Roughest Draft is, I think it was a 4 star, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I still kind of can see some of the scenes in my head, and I've read that maybe 2 years ago, and I do not have that good of a memory. So that's saying a lot. I am really excited about this one. I think I didn't read their last release. Something about it felt like TikTok page, and I just really wasn't feeling to buy into it. But this one says Morgan is being ghosted by her ex. No, really. It's sad Zach died and became a ghost, but Morgan and Zach only ever went on one date, and now she's being haunted by him. Zach has no desire to spend eternity with Morgan, but he can't recall his past and doesn't know how to move on. As a support group for humans and their haunters, Morgan and Zach run into Sawyer, whose fiance turned ghost has started to fade. Unlike Morgan, Sawyer isn't ready to part ways with his ghost. Although they face opposite issues, Morgan and Sawyer decide to work together to solve their problems. This sounds like fantastic. Something about it is so fascinating to me. I feel like, yeah, it says haunted by heartbreak. I feel like it'll be really heartbreaking and emotional, but also hopeful. And I'm hoping that we get some interesting insights into grief and second chances at love. And I'm really excited. I actually watched um what was the name of that movie? It would be on my letterbox. I Want You Back, directed by Jason Ollie. I gave this 5 stars on Letterboxd. I thought it was actually perfect and fantastic and so funny. And it's not the same necessarily, but it gives the same vibes where their exes moved on to other people and they both come together. So the people who were dumped come together and they have like this scheme to get the other person's ex back with them. And obviously they end up falling in love. And I think that's kind of what we're gonna get here, except with the inclusion of ghosts. But I really loved I Want You Back. That was such a perfect movie. So I'm excited to get into this one. All right. This one, I'm looking at the back of it. It says one of the best books of the year, according to the New Yorker. This one is They're Going to Love You by Meg Howery. And it says throughout her childhood, Carlisle Martin got to see her father, Robert, for only, oh my God, Robert is my dad's name. For only a few precious weeks a year, when she visited the Brownstone apartment in Greenwich Village, he shared with his partner James. Brilliant but troubled, James gave Carlyle an education in all that he held dear in life: literature, music, and most of all, dance. Seduced by the heady pull of mentorship and hoping to follow in the footsteps of her mother, a former ballerina, Carlyle's aspiration to become a professional ballet dancer bloomed. But above all else, she longed to be asked to stay at the house on Bank Street, to be a part of Robert's and James' sophisticated world, even as the AIDS crisis brings devastation to their community. Instead, a passionate love affair created a rift within the family with shattered consequences that reverberated for decades to come. I hate when I read too much of a summary. I'm annoyed with myself, but it is what it is. I'm really excited about this one. I love stories about people's passions and how messy it could get. I just think that this is going to be so good. And I think as a former dancer, it's always really interesting to learn about the lives of people who become professional ballet dancers because you always hear insane horror stories. So I feel like this is going to be really interesting. I also love the setting of New York. I don't love New York as a place. It just isn't my vibe, but I love reading about it because I feel like that's where the passionate people are. The next one is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. This one I think is a mix between literary fiction and mystery, which I really love. I love a mysterious element of a book, but I'm not really a mystery thriller reader. So this one says in Montclair, Missouri in 1975, Patch, a poor boy from the wrong side of town, emerges as a local hero after saving the life of a wealthy family's daughter. In doing so, he leaves heartache in his wake. Patch soon discovers that the line between triumph and tragedy has never been finer, and that his act of bravery, okay, I can't read obviously, and that his act of bravery might just cost him everything. It says a mesmerizing novel about obsession, hope, and love. I love all three of those topics. The next one is kind of random, and I also realized that I have a couple books in here written by men, which is not the majority of what I read. So that's interesting. But this one I got from a ChatGPT recommendation. I asked Chat for books like my three favorite books, which are Bear Town, Lovely War, and now Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. So I wanted something with those similar themes. I feel like when I was searching for a five-star read earlier in the year, actually, a little backstory. I just found my first five-star read 2 days ago, and we're in the middle of February. And actually, it's not even my first five-star for the year. It's my first five-star since maybe October. Because after I read Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey, I nothing else compared and nothing else was perfect to me. So I'm sorry if the angle changed. My battery died, but I was talking about this next book, which I asked chat for assistance with because I really just needed something to make me feel alive again. I needed a five-star. I was literally fiending for it. And I ended up finding one. But before that, I ended up asking chat and he recommended this one. As far as I remember, it's really about this young boy who is adopted and he just doesn't feel like he has recognizable roots, and that kind of makes him feel very untethered, basically, and unrooted. And then he strikes up this friendship with this other young boy, and I guess we're chronicling their lives and their friendship and how much it means to this guy to have this other person who he knows is sure in his life. And it says, at the mercy of fortune and coincidence, he will spend a lifetime coming to know himself and where he came from. And over his many years, will struggle to discover an identity, a home, a country, and much more. Which sounds really sweet to me, to be honest. I'm really excited about this one. Next, we have one I'm really excited about. I think this might be the premise that most intrigues me. It's 10 minutes and 38 seconds in this strange world by Elif Shafak, and it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, which is actually where I got this recommendation from. I saw it on like a Booker Prize list, and the premise just piqued my interest. It says, in the pulsating moments after she had been murdered and left in a dumpster outside Istanbul, Tequila Lila enters a state of heightened awareness. Her heart has stopped beating, but her brain is still active for 10 minutes and 38 seconds. While the Turkish sun rises and her friends sleep soundly nearby, she remembers her life and the lives of others, outcasts like her. This just sounds really fascinating. I don't know if I believe it necessarily, but I love the theory that like after you die, there's like a specific amount of time after your heart stops beating, that you still kind of remember and you just get flashbacks of all of your favorite memories, which is kind of what I'm thinking is happening here. So I'm really interested to see how I feel about this one. We're coming to the end now. This one I have already started. It's You with a View by Jessica Joyce. This book just gives me Letters to Juliet. And in case you can't tell, I definitely love to compare books and movies because I love both of them so much. Yeah, so far I think I maybe almost 100 pages into this one actually, and right now we're just following this girl who's grieving her grandmother, and then she finds like a piece of her history which is connected to the grandfather of her high school nemesis, and they end up going on a road trip to kind of learn more about her grandmother and the other guy's grandfather. They had like this whirlwind romance many years ago, and the grandchildren, I guess, are uncovering that relationship, and the grandfather is healing from it. It also has a TikTok element, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm not obsessed, but I'm really enjoying it. And last but definitely not least, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandra Dumas. I am on the hunt for my 5-star classic. I feel like it's out there. I know that there must be a classic that I will really be obsessed with. My favorite classic right now is Wuthering Heights, but it still isn't a 5-star, it's a 4-star. I actually just finished rereading that. But something about this one, the way that people have made it out, feels like it could be right up my alley. I actually have no idea what it's about, and I will not find out. I'm not interested. I just hate that it is like tea and there's just a lot of gossip, and that could be a classic I could be into. So I'm really excited to get into this maybe next month. I think one classic a month is good. I already did my deals this month, so we'll put this on the back burner for now, but I'm really excited to get into this. And that is the end of it. That is my birthday haul. I'm so excited. I feel like I've been really intentional about the books that I put on this haul, or I guess the books that I bought, because I'm just really looking for books that are me and that I feel really fit my taste and my interest. And I feel like this is very reflective. There are definitely some purchases in here that I feel like I gave into some hype, but generally I feel like these are books that I to my core feel really really interested in, so I'm so excited to get to them and eventually talk about them on the channel with you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.